All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're looking at a really fascinating thesis that builds a bridge between two worlds we usually keep far apart, philosophy and mathematics. And it all circles back to Plato, who, it turns out, might have seen them as two sides of the very same coin.
So let me just ask you this. When you think about philosophy, and then you think about math, do they feel like they belong together? Yeah, for most of us, the answer is a pretty firm no. They feel like total opposites. And you can see why, right? We think of philosophy as the home of the big, messy why questions. It's all about concepts and abstract thought. And then there's math, the land of how. It's all about precision, exact answers, and solid proofs. They just seem to come from completely different planets. But what if that whole divide is something we just made up recently?
And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, Plato's cosmic blueprint. The central question here is a wild one. Did Plato actually believe that the universe itself, the very fabric of reality, is literally built out of mathematics? Well, his big idea was, yeah, pretty much. He basically argued that if you want to be a real philosopher, if you want to understand reality on a deep level, you have to learn math. Why? Because reality itself has a mathematical structure. So for Plato, these fields weren't just connected, they were basically inseparable. Now you'd think after a couple of thousand years, we'd have this all figured out, right? Well, not even close. This whole idea has been the spark for a huge scholarly debate that's been going on since the 1800s. It's a genuine controversy that's been unsolved for a very, very long time. You've got two camps. In one corner, you have Plato's earliest followers. They were all in. Their answer was a huge yes. Of course reality can be studied with math. That's the whole point. But in the other corner, you have a lot of modern scholars who've picked apart his text and said, hold on, no. The actual writing doesn't fully back that up. And this is where the thesis we're exploring today steps in. It's offering up a new, unified answer, using modern analytical tools to try and finally solve this ancient puzzle. So this is the big question, isn't it? After centuries of back and forth of all these arguments, who got it right? Was it Plato's ancient fans or his modern-day critics? The answer, it turns out, is a resounding yes. This thesis makes a really strong case that Plato's earliest admirers were right all along. Plato was, deep down, a mathematical philosopher. And what's so cool is how this mystery got solved. It's like the thesis took advice directly from Plato himself. See, Plato once wrote that a tiny, overlooked mistake right at the start of an argument can make everything that comes after it seem logical, but still be totally wrong. By going back to the very beginning of this debate, the thesis found that the modern interpretation was actually built on a shaky assumption. Fix that, and suddenly the ancient view makes perfect sense.
Okay, so an old academic debate has been settled. That's neat. But why should you and I care about it today? Well, because getting Plato right helps us reconnect two of our most powerful ways of thinking about the world.
The big takeaway here is this idea of a symbiotic relationship. They aren't just separate subjects that are kind of nice to have. They actually need each other to be their best. They make each other stronger. And here's how it works. Think about it. Philosophy, with its huge, sometimes crazy questions, really needs the rigor and structure of math to ground it, to keep it from just floating away. But it goes the other way too. Mathematics, with all its incredible discoveries, needs philosophy to help organize everything and figure out what it all means and how it can help us. They give each other purpose. And this whole incredible journey, solving a debate that's been raging for centuries and reconnecting these powerful ideas, it all comes from the brilliant academic work in this thesis from University College London. So, that leaves us with one last massive thought to chew on. If Plato was right all along, if philosophy and math really are partners, what kind of huge, complicated problems could we start to solve if we brought them back together today?